Stacey, it's weird. You can perform really well in spring training, but it's a different level when the season actually starts.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias, and I'm joined by my co-host, Brian McKeon, right there. Brian, how are we doing? It's Thursday. This week is going fast.
Yeah, it's flying by. We're almost at baseball.
Yeah, crazy. Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to Locked On Yankees on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like our videos, hit the bell so you're notified whenever our videos go live. On today's show, apparently the Mets are making a documentary about signing Juan Soto. We're going to discuss that in segment 3 because we both have a lot to say about it. We're going to discuss the fact that Aaron Boone has already announced that Max Fried isn't starting opening day, and we're going to talk about our issues with that. But first, let's talk about the guys who have been sent down to minor league camp because it's that time of spring training. We're only 2 weeks away from opening day. Wow, we are only 2 weeks away from opening day. It's 2 weeks from today. That's crazy.
Yeah. Wild.
I just realized that I did the math in my head and I thought, oh, wow, we're only 2 weeks away. How did that go so fast?
Cool to think about. Interesting when the players get sent out. I don't know why we do this. Like, what is the benefit of sending these players to minor league camp? Don't they get more beneficial play out of playing with the major league team? I don't get it. And the minor league season doesn't start when the major league season starts. It's about another month into camp, so I don't understand why they do this. It's confusing.
I think it's maybe because when you have 2 weeks left in camp, you kind of want to play around with the major league lineup and get it to where, like, does that make sense? So because you need to start playing the major league players, and you won't really have space for the minor leaguers who were definitely not making the team to be in the lineup, and you kind of want to get these guys their reps with 2 weeks left. Yeah,
that makes sense. A lot of people, we'll go over the big names first. A lot of people very aggravated about Spencer Jones being sent down to the minor league camp. Really? I don't hate this. I don't hate this. Oh, because he had a decent spring. I don't hate this. He still feels a little bit away from making the major league roster. Now, I do think he'll start the year in AAA. That should help him. We'll see how he progresses there. We'll obviously be tuning in on Minors Monday to see how he's doing. But I don't think it's the worst thing in the world that he's starting out in the minor league camp. I don't know if he was necessarily major league ready. It's, Stacey, it's weird. You can perform really well in spring training, but it's a different level when the season actually starts. And guys are actually out there, and you're facing major leaguers every game at every point. So it is a little bit different. I don't think Spencer Jones was ready for the major league level jump yet, and he didn't get called for it either.
No, and it's funny because there are Yankee fans who like to pride themselves as being smart about baseball, but some of them kind of lose their heads when it comes to the prospects. And,
absolutely,
they expect the Yankees, like with George Lombard Jr., who we'll talk about in a few moments. They were expecting this kid who's never been higher than high A because he did well in a few games to be put on the major league roster. And you guys know that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. That old commercial. So Spencer Jones is not ready for the major leagues yet. He'll get there eventually, but he's not ready yet. No matter he could have batted 500 this spring. He could have, torn the cover off the wall. What? And no, I'm saying, and he wouldn't have been put on the major league roster.
Oh, that's the argument that I had against you, though. If he hit 500, like I do think because I get where you're coming from, right? Like if he went crazy, he wasn't making the roster. But I don't know about that because the reason why I think a lot of Yankee fans see a player play well in spring training and then immediately think that he's going to make a major league impact is Anthony Volpe. We saw it a few years ago. Remember, Anthony Volpe had like 6 games of AAA experience before they moved him up to the major leagues. He really didn't play in Scranton at all. I don't even know if he knows where the bathroom is in Scranton's ballpark. He doesn't play there. So Anthony Volpe had that crazy spring training where he hit like 380 or something like that, and they called him up immediately and they put him on the open day roster. So I think
but it's different. He was competing for a spot with Peraza. Like they pitted Peraza and Volpe against each other. Spencer Jones was just there. It wasn't like they were having him compete with Jason Dominguez for a position. Like he was just there because he was in Double-A last year and they were bringing him along just to have him in camp. And, it's slightly different with the Volpe thing. I see what you're saying, because it's true. I mean, he was literally, like, it wasn't even a week that he was in AAA.
Yeah.
And then he goes to spring training and shows off. And they're like, because I really thought with the experience that Peraza had in the playoffs the previous year, that the position was going to be his. And then
It wasn't
Volpe
just
comes
you,
in.
too.
It was like, where'd this kid come from? And how did this happen? Poor Peraza.
Yeah, it wasn't just you, because I think every baseball pundit really thought it was a fait accompli that Peraza was going to be the starter. That brings me to the interesting one. You brought it up earlier. George Lombard Jr. I don't think a lot of people that were very serious about it really thought he was going to make the major league roster, or at least make an impact on the major league roster. Here's what I will say, though. Things were changed very much because of the opening they have at third base position. And with the way that he was playing, I didn't think it was crazy out of bounds to think that there was a chance he'd make the roster if he kept playing the way that he was playing. And that was a huge if. At what is he, 20, or he's going to be 20? He's going to be 20 in June, right? Yeah. That was the big if. And that first week of camp, he was hitting 400 and had 2 home runs, and everyone was like, whoa, where's this coming from? And then he cooled off a lot.
Right.
A lot. So he played his way off the major league roster very fast. I did think there was a chance, though. It's not like Cabrera is hitting the cover off the ball. It's not like Peraza is really hitting the cover off the ball. They're playing well in spring training, but they're not doing unbelievable things we've never seen before, which I think changed the narrative. When you saw Lombard playing the way that he was playing, I think maybe the Yankees brass sat there for a second and said, let's discuss this. But I think there's 2 factors here. Age. You don't want to call a player up and throw him into the major league level, and if he, God forbid, struggles, destroy his confidence immediately. But you also don't want to start his clock if it's not completely necessary.
You saw it with Jackson Holiday. When he first came up, it was awful.
Yeah.
Then they sent him down, and then he came back up, and he had a little more of an impact because they brought him up, because he was also really young. He was only 20, right, when they brought him up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a thing, too, because Juan Soto became a free agent at 26 years old, but that's a generational talent that was ready to play at the major leagues at that age. Not everyone is. And you can't look at a 19-year-old. His time will come. I think there's not a lot of people out there will tell you that George Lombard Jr. cannot make the major leagues at one point. I think we all think he's going to be a major leaguer at some point. It's just an amount of time that it's going to take. So the other one that I think is very interesting to close this segment out that did get sent down today, but I wonder how long that lasts. Everson Pereira, who wound up being, because he's not a top-tier prospect, wound up not getting talked about a lot when it comes to camp. And Stacey, he was insane in spring training. So my question to you is he the first guy called up when there's an injury in the outfield?
I think so.
And that's the funny part, because everyone wanted Jones, and everyone thinks, oh, once it's an injury, they're not going to stop Spencer Jones' development in the minor leagues.
No.
They're not going to start his clock too early than it needs to be. And I think once Spencer Jones is the kind of player that once you call him up, you want to keep him in the lineup consistently. And I don't know how they feel about Everson Pereira, but I don't know how Yankee fans realize how good he was hitting, Stacey. 2 homers, 3 RBIs. He was hitting .350 with a .440 on base and a .1090 OPS. I mean, he had an unbelievable spring and about the same amount of at-bats, too, that the other 2 kids had. So, and also Pereira's major league clock has been started already. Remember, they called him up in 2023 briefly for 10 games. And that's what I'm saying before with the Lombard Jr. and the Spencer Jones stuff is why you don't want to call him up, because you don't want to call him up to play 10 games and then send him down and then they spend the next 2 years in the minor leagues. Everson Pereira is that time that he came up, that those 10 days, the last year and a half has been counting towards his major league service time. That's all still counting on the clock, not because you're playing the minor leagues. He's also being paid like a major league player. So there is that difference too. I think Pereira is the first guy we probably see when they need a call up to happen, when there's an injury.
Yeah. It sounds like Peraza, because his clock started already.
Yeah, it's the same concept, right? And that's why I think you're kind of hesitant with these players that have the potential to be, long-term major leaguers. You don't want to call them up immediately and then have them, struggle and need more time down, because if they do, their clock is running. I mean, I don't think the pay is that crazy. They can afford to pay guys, anything they want. The Yankees make so much money. But the problem is you're now starting the clock early on these guys, and you can't take advantage of their service time. So I think that's, if Spencer Jones becomes a superstar player, you don't want to call him up with 2 years left in his development, then you got to pay him in 2 years. You want to kind of pay these guys that get the most out of them. So I do think Pereira at this point is the first guy that you'll see called up when there's an injury.
I like how you said when, because it's always when, it's never
it's inevitable. It's inevitable, yeah.
Yeah. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notification so you know when our videos go up. You can also join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. The link is in the description. You'll get text from us. You can text us questions, comments, reactions to trades and signings and injuries. We send out lineups during the season, roster moves, and breaking news, so you don't have to check social media. There's a 14-day free trial. Coming up, why the heck isn't Max Fried starting on opening day? We'll discuss next.
Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So you just stop at managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Now I budget smarter and I save more. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track your spending, and even plan for long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever now, too. You can track shared and personal accounts, set your goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. And thanks again for making Locked On Yankees your first listen. Remember that every Friday is Fan Mail Friday. You can leave questions underneath the pinned comment on our videos Monday through Thursday, or you can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club and get top priority during Fan Mail Friday. The link is in our description. So, Stacey, weird news that came out that I was wondering why Aaron Boone offered, as we usually do, why he offers certain things. But Aaron Boone decided to tell the media and everybody around that Max Fried was not going to be starting opening day. Again, why offer that information up when you're not asked? I don't understand, but whatever. I don't really find this information that interesting when it comes to, Max Fried, whether he was starting opening day or not. But I wonder why so certainly no. That was what confused me more about this. Or why give a reason? And the reason why he gave was even weirder. Keep in mind, we're 2 weeks out from opening day, Stacey. And the Yankees' last spring training game is against the Marlins on the 25th. They start the season 2 days later. Again, Max Fried doesn't need to pitch in those games because they're exhibition games. And Boone announced Max Fried will not start opening day. He will not be in consideration to be the opening day starter. And then when he was asked by Brian Hoke why not, Aaron Boone said probably not because the rotation doesn't line up for him to do that. I'm sorry, what?
So what if the rotation lines up for
Stroman
or Clark Schmidt? Clark Schmidt's not going to pitch for a weekend. So Stroman, what if it's Stroman?
But also, why are you basing the regular season rotation off of what they're doing in spring training? Just stop Max. Just don't let Max Fried make his last spring training start. And then he's fresh for game one. Why would that be the reason? I literally can't think. So you're prioritizing his spring training session, which is an exhibition game, which makes him not available for opening day, which is a real game that actually counts. Does it make any sense at all?
No.
I'm asking like a legitimate person. Like, I don't understand how at all. And this is why I get annoyed with reporters, because sometimes they remove themselves too much as a fan from things and they don't think of a question that fans want to hear. Why did no one follow it up with that question? Why would you prioritize a spring training start over a major league start? No one followed up with Boone. They just were like, "Oh, that sounds good." No other team would ever do this.
Or they're like, "Oh, this sounds like a Boone answer." Like they're used to Boone answering.
But press him on it. I don't think the Phillies are. I don't know. They didn't announce whether it's Nola or Grank or a Wheeler. But I don't think the Phillies are going to sit there and be like, Wheeler's not starting opening day because he needs to make his spring training start on Monday, so he's not going to start on Wednesday. Like, that would never happen. No other team would do that. Why would you ever prioritize an exhibition game over an actual counting game? I mean, is there any reason why this makes sense to you? It's not like there's some program, Max. Like, I get the Clark Schmidt thing because it's a program that he's working on and it's going to extend into the week and a half. That I totally understand. But Max Fried's been there since February 14th, the pitchers and catchers reported. So he's been there since they reported. They've already reported and they've been there already. His camp has been made. His program has been made. He can finish. He could make his last start on Sunday and be ready for Thursday. I don't understand why you're prioritizing his last spring training start, which again doesn't count. Or just have him in this last spring training start only pitch 2 innings, like it's a bullpen game or like it's a simulated game, and then have him ready for Thursday. I don't understand why this would be the motive to not start someone on opening day. And also, why willingly offer that information up either? Like, that's the part that's weird too, is Stacey, like, he did this in I'm forgetting what it was, but he did this during the playoffs, I think. Or no, when in the playoffs during the World Series, when they asked him about would Cole be available for Game 7, he was like, absolutely not. There's no chance he pitched in that game. Why would you offer that information up? Like, what? You know what I mean? That was the same. We were annoyed during that time too, because the Dodgers don't know you're not going to use Cole. So why would you tell them, hey, we're not using him at all? So, why would you? I know what people are saying. Like, something that's on the screen right now when they're watching the show in the morning. Oh, what if you're trying to throw the Dodgers off? I don't think Aaron Boone's playing this giant game of mystical chess where he's trying to fool the Dodgers. I think he's just dumb enough to say, yeah, we're not going to use him. Like, I don't understand why you would do those kind of things. And the same thing, does it give that much of an advantage in game 1 of 162 with Max Fried on the mound or Carlos Rodon? No. And I'm sure the starter will be Rodon at this point. But
like, he didn't say definitively who was going to be starter, right? They didn't.
No, you would think it's Rodon, but like he didn't ask him who's going to start now. So we don't know. They're gonna make an announcement in the coming days, but it's not Fried.
But if they don't know anything, why would they rule out Fried?
That's because Fried's program ends too soon to opening day. But then end the damn program. I get exactly stop, enough. What are we doing? If he has a stretch on Wednesday and that precludes him from pitching on Thursday,
you're paying him $218 million. You're paying him $218 million. Your ace is out. He's the next one up. Sorry, Rodon, you get 162. You're the third. Fried is there. Put him in opening day. What are you doing?
Yeah, I don't get it, and it's weird. And again, you're not giving yourself that much of an advantage because it's game 1 of 162. But why offer that information up to the Brewers? Like, why give them that information? I'm not going to call it this crazy advantage because it's opening day. But why tell them 2 weeks in advance you have this much time to prepare an opening day lineup?
Yeah,
because we're not starting Max. Like, why allow? And by the way, Max Fried's a lefty, and so now they know they're not facing a lefty. Now they know they're not facing a lefty in opening day. Why offer that information up? Or they know they're facing a lefty because they're getting Rodon. Why offer that information up? Why give them that? I don't understand why you would even provide. Make them think it's Max Fried for 2 weeks, and then a day before be like, "Nah, it's Rodon."
Right?
Why give a team any bit of an advantage? You know what? I'd even have less of a problem with it too if Meredith sat down with him for an interview and was like, "Who's starting opening day? Any thoughts?" And he offered this. The fact that this wasn't asked of him. I don't understand why you're offering teams other information when it's not asked of you. You answer a question, you answer it wrong, fine. I get it, it happens. But how is he this ill prepared for this kind of stuff at this point in his major league tenure? This can't still be happening. And it's every year where he just comes to the podium and it's like, yeah, we're not starting, just blanket information that wasn't asked of him. Joe Girardi, while he had his faults as a manager for sure, was an expert at dealing with the media. He didn't give you anything more than you asked. Ever. And even when you asked, he barely gave you an answer sometimes. And with this guy, it's the complete opposite. He's showing up to a podium and be like, Fried's not starting on opening day. I know you didn't ask, but here you go.
I'm not diagnosing him, but he acts like I do because I have ADHD and I kind of blurt stuff out or I say too much. Like, I either don't speak or I talk too much to people and reveal too much to people, like strangers I don't even know. I'm telling them things I shouldn't be telling them. And I feel like Boone's the same way. Again, I'm not diagnosing him. It's just funny to watch him do that because I feel like, oh yeah, I do that too. But I'm not a Major League Baseball coach, and I would know enough not to do that as a Major League Baseball coach.
Exactly. And I don't understand why that's...
Excuse me, manager. You know what I mean.
Yeah. I don't understand why this information, and it was much more egregious, and we did freak out when this happened during the World Series because there were multiple reasons why that was maybe the dumbest thing anyone could have ever said, because why would Gerrit Cole not be available? Gerrit Cole wound up blowing his arm out in spring training anyway. So why would he not have been available? I mean, I think we made that point on the show last October, by the way, or November at this point, where we said, if Gerrit Cole blows his arm out in Game 7, but you win the World Series, it's worth it. He might blow his arm out in spring training, so who cares? And he did blow his arm out in spring training. So I would have rather him blown in November or October. That would have been better to me. So I don't know why. And again, that was the plan, the thought we made last year. The plan all along might have been to not use Cole in Game 7. They might have decided that a week prior to the World Series starting. That's fine. Why tell the Dodgers that?
Right.
Why offer that information up? I don't understand why he does what he does sometimes.
Yep. I agree. Coming up, I can't even say this without rolling my eyes. The Mets are making a documentary, or have made a documentary, about the signing of Juan Soto. We're going to discuss our thoughts about this next.
Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, which gives you over 10% of your daily value. And plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller for longer. Now, personally, I love the no shells variety. It's the perfect grab and go snack for busy days. Whether I'm snacking at my desk on a road trip or just need a quick protein boost, they're always my go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are also a classic favorite. Wonderful Pistachios is a complete protein. It provides all 9 essential amino acids. No shells, Wonderful Pistachios for that grab-and-go ease. Now, whether you're running between meetings or dropping off the kids, Wonderful Pistachios are the snack that works as hard as you do. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. So, Stacey, an absolute move that a loser organization would do in the New York Mets releasing a documentary on their own personal YouTube channel. This wasn't picked up by Amazon TV or name your streaming service. On their own personal YouTube channel, funded by the New York Mets organization, may I mention, of them signing Juan Soto and the process of them going through the Juan Soto signing. Let me just say something really briefly before you destroy them, because I can see it on your face already. When has a team ever done something like this? And I know they haven't been there before, but there's worth in going by the phrase your entire life, act like you've been there before. This is acting like you have legitimately never signed a player that you wanted before. I get signing Juan Soto is a big deal. We would have thought it was a big deal too, but there is no chance the Yankees would have released a documentary on the Juan Soto signing fiasco if he signed with them. Same with the San Diego Padres, same with the Los Angeles Angels, or the Dodgers, or the Red Sox, or the Blue Jays, or name any team that would have been after him. Nobody would have released a self-made documentary on their own YouTube channel to promote the fact that they signed a player. It is one of the most insane little league, little brother things I've ever seen a team do. And it's so obviously guided at the Yankees, which is more, if Mets fans want to go out there and throw the, we are not little brother, this is why we're big brother, and you want to do that all year as Mets fans, the Mets can let their fan base do that all they want. But to feed into it yourself as an organization is weird. This is a weird thing. The Jets didn't do this with Aaron Rodgers. I've never seen it. The Rangers didn't do this with Artemi Panarin. When can you think of a team ever signing a big-time free agent and making a documentary about it? Before that, he hasn't. Stacey, Juan Soto hasn't thrown a baseball in a meaningful Mets game yet. He hasn't swung a bat in a meaningful Mets game yet. I mean, this is crazy behavior, no?
This would not have happened if Juan Soto played for the Padres last year. It's only because they outbid the Yankees. This is the only reason that that's being made. And like you said, it's one thing for Mets fans to be crowing about, oh, we ruled the city now, we have Juan Soto. That's one thing. But for the organization to do this, it's just, I have so many
And
words for it.
the funniest part to me of the whole thing, because the Mets' rightful captain should be Francisco Lindor. He is a captain type player, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And he was on WFAN about 2 days ago and was asked, one of the hosts, who I'm not going to name, decided to try to poke the bear of the Yankee fan, and was consistently, instead of asking Francisco Lindor questions about the New York Mets, because why else would he be on the station, he decided to ask Francisco Lindor questions about the Yankees, because that makes sense. And he basically said, how does it feel to be on the best run organization in New York? And he's like, man, I just want to win baseball games for the New York Mets. That's all that matters to me. And again, he was asked the question, well, how does it feel, though, that the team that you play for is a better functioning franchise than the one that you play for? And which, again, made no sense to me, because it's not like the Yankees didn't sign anyone this offseason. They had a pretty good offseason. Probably better offseason than the Mets had. Regardless, Lindor's answer was the same thing. Man, I'm just focused about the Mets season. I'm glad that Juan Soto's a Met, but I'm just focused on our season and how we're going to do.
Was it Evan?
No, another guy. It's funny to me how the Mets player knew to not feed into this narrative, but the Mets organization doesn't know. It's so weird to me. And again, if Steve Cohen gets a kick out of it, and of the control in the Yankees, and wants to be this guy who's better than the Yankees and everything, if he gets a kick out of it, then let the fan base do it. Let the fan base go crazy. Let them chant Yankees suck when the Mets play the Marlins on a Thursday night. Let them do whatever they want. But for the team itself to feed into this narrative, again, act like you've signed someone before. Act like, and they have signed the biggest free agent before. They traded for Francisco Lindor when he first got there. They went out and signed, that one offseason where they got Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander. Like, they've had big off seasons before and signed marquee guys before. That's why this is just strange. But
they've never beaten the Yankees in free agency. That's what it is.
Sure, but what?
No, but that's what it is. It shouldn't
matter. You don't play in the same division. You don't play in the same league.
We know this.
You can't play meaningful games until October every year. It doesn't happen. So I find it just it's weird behavior. This is not how winning teams operate. It's not. Winning organizations don't operate this way. When winning organizations sign someone, they think of it as like, yeah, we got him, because that's what we do. That's how they operate. When the Yankees signed Aaron Judge, re-signed him, they didn't go, oh, thank God we got him back, and make a whole parade for him. Named him the captain, put a social media post out there. There you go. Same with Garrett Cole.
The Dodgers didn't do anything about Shohei, right?
Ohtani, Mookie Betts, named the big player the Dodgers have got, Yamamoto. And there's probably more reason behind Yamamoto, because it was a $300 million contract going to a Japanese pitcher who's never pitched in the major leagues before. So The Ohtani one was absolutely a reason to make a documentary. No, now ESPN released a documentary on Ohtani when he signed, but there was nothing from the Dodgers. The organization itself releasing it, and again, even if this were something where the Mets assisted in producing it, but like Amazon Prime picked it up, or Apple TV, or
sure, like if a major streaming service came to them and said, "Hey, this is a big deal. Let's make something about this," but because that's what I thought it was when it was first mentioned. I thought, oh, all right, maybe Apple TV, because they're doing the Dodgers Yankees thing, so maybe,
The fact that the team itself is doing it, it's just weird behavior. It doesn't make any sense to me, and it's so. I'm not obsessed with the whole big brother, little brother. I don't care, but this is a little brother move, if there ever was one. It just. I'm sorry, like it is. This is what the child who feels they're not getting enough attention does. Right?
We have Met fans who watch this show. They've left comments, and they're very diplomatic. We had one leave a comment after the Garrett Cole news, and he was actually upset about the Garrett Cole news and said, look, I may not like the Yankees, but we like the competition, and to see Garrett Cole go down, it's bad for baseball. So I'd like for the few Met fans who watch the show, give us your real opinion about this. Are you embarrassed by it, or are you like, haha, yeah, we got Juan Soto, this is good? Just let us know how you feel about
I'm curious to know how you feel about it, because I can't imagine. I feel like as a Mets fan, you'd still be happy that Juan Soto signed, but in the back of your head, you'd be cringing a little bit. This isn't what winning teams do. It's not. This is not how winning organizations operate.
Yeah, it is. It's cringy. That's a good word for it. It's cringeworthy. Like it. No,
This
I would be
isn't what-
so embarrassed. Like, do you remember the when the news came out that Aaron Boone was showing them the 2004 ALCS stuff when they were down
when
to
they were down
Houston?
3-0.
So embarrassing. So embarrassing. I was like, dude, no, don't do that. Like that, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up when I heard that. I was like, like something like that. No. And if the Yankees did something like this, or say the Yankees got Juan Soto, say they outbid the Mets and they decided, hey, we're going to make a documentary to rub it in their face because we've never really competed with the Mets for a free agent. I would be so embarrassed.
The thing is, I don't even know if this, because the Yankees were going through this process, obviously bidding for Juan Soto, so they were obviously speaking to him. There were chances to have cameras around him. I don't think there was. I can't imagine there was ever an opportunity where the Yankees even considered doing this.
Oh, and one quick note before we go, because we have to end the show soon. The figures that came out about the suites, how much money the Yankees make from the suites. No wonder why they didn't want to give Juan Soto a free suite.
Yeah, look how much money they make off of it. I will say this too. That other report that came out the other day that Juan Soto said other teams offered me more than the Mets. No, they didn't.
No, they didn't.
That's a complete fabricated lie.
No, they did not. No one did. No, stop it.
I just wanted to mention that because he came out and said that, and he didn't give specific numbers, but he said, "Oh, the Mets weren't even the highest offer." Yes, they were.
Of course they were. Because wouldn't it
and
have
the Mets
come
and
out...
the Mets didn't. The Mets didn't. Steve Cohen didn't make a comment on that because I think Steve Cohen wants to be the highest bidder. He wants it to be known that he's the highest bidder. So that was I think he was trying to say that to like ingratiate himself with the Met fan. Like, oh, I wanted to be a Met. I really did.
I really wanted to be a Met. I chose you because of it. He chose you because of the money, which is fine. It's his prerogative, but stop trying to change the narrative, Juan. You wanted the most money.
Over.
You got the most money. Congratulations.
Exactly.
Good for you. Thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast with hosts Dominic Martino and Matthew Ane. MLB fantasy draft season is here, so be the most informed fan and set yourself up for a league win. Find Locked On Fantasy Baseball on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. So that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you guys tomorrow.